Right, okay, I've got to make this quick, but I'm with the lovely Ben Davidson. I enjoy speaking to you. How are you?
I enjoy speaking to you.
I like when it's mutual. It makes it much for a better conversation. Congratulations, another fighter of yours has now signed a multi-fight deal with Matchroom. Talk to us a little bit about that, because Shabaz was kind of like Altman, saying that he'd had a little bit of troubles, he's had a bit of struggles and stuff. That relationship with yourself, how did it start?
With Shabaz. So Shabaz, I was training Tyson at the time. He actually come down to the gym to spar, and with Isaac Lowe, and they was having a good spar. And then it got a little bit emotional. Isaac beat his chest and said something along the lines of like "gypsy art," and Shabaz beat his chest back and said something along the lines of "art." Straight away, all me, Billy Joe, Tyson was all like, "I like him," you know. He's got that.
He's got the grit.
Yeah, exactly, and just kept a relationship from there, really. And then he asked to come and see me, and he come and see me, and he spoke about some things that were going on, and asked if I would look after him, and I took him away on a training camp after that, and the relationship's blossomed from there. He's had some difficult times of recent, being inactive, had some things going on in his personal life. As Eddie was saying up there, you know, I've always banged on the drum for Shabaz. I believe that he's got, you know, what he has the potential to be, you know, unbelievable, elite, absolute elite. And I think that something that gets underestimated when you're talking about the development of a fighter is, you know, everybody wants to sign these big deals and all the rest of it, and it's great, and he has signed a big deal. Part of his responsibility to fulfill his potential is to use the money that he will gain from this nice deal that he's got, reinvest in himself. The right sparring partners, the right things, you know, you've got to do that to then, like any business, you are your own business. You have to reinvest in yourself, and he's got these opportunities now. He's got the platform, the zone. He's got the promoter in Eddie and Frank. He's got us, I believe, you know, a great fit for him, and you know, it's his job now to make that commitment. And I understand fighters want to, you know, I just believe that fighters are too quick to invest outside of boxing before they are going to invest in themselves. And that for me is really frustrating to see. I think it's you know, it's not something that you see regularly, and I think that just baffles me. You know, if my main business was property development, when I earn, I'm going to reinvest in that property development. Boxers, no business outside of that is going to pay them back like investing in themselves. So, you know, that's part of Shabaz's responsibility, and I believe that if he does the right things, makes the right decisions, you know, you will see a future star, not just of British boxing, but of world boxing.
He seems quite keen as well. He said, look, you know, I've had X amount of fights. I'm looking for world titles. This is what I want. What is it like for you then to like navigate him, just to make sure that he doesn't like, I'm not saying he's got experience, hasn't he? But he doesn't need to rush. So when he talks about 12 months going in for those world titles, as his trainer, someone that has to have that sensible head on. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so he boxed Diego Ruiz. That was
world level then.
Yeah, that was his first 10 rounder.
Yeah.
He then boxed Jack Bates, and that was his first 12 rounder. And you know, he was really on a roll there. And I thought, right, you know, a couple more 12 rounders would have been great experience. He's lost that momentum in the sense of just having done them rounds back to back. I think that what he probably needs now is a couple of those fights in and around that fringe world level type, and ticking off a few boxes. Experience, you can't buy it, and I think that, you know, 3 or 4 fights, and I believe that he'll be ready for a world title. Not just to compete for a world title, but to win one.
We like it. One of the twins, Pat McCormack, what a delight. He's up there, but his opponent was like, well, he hasn't been in with someone like me, has he? So you can see he's not saying much, but he's not dismissive of him, but saying, hold on a minute, fair enough, I know I'm the B side, but he hasn't fought anyone like me. The step up, the progress for Pat then, talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, Pat, again, I don't want to sound like I'm saying this about everybody saying the same. I wouldn't beat the drum if I didn't really, truly believe it. He is a phenomenal talent. He's got a responsibility to fulfill that potential by making the right decisions, living the right life, committing to, you know, again, investing in himself, and committing to that, and committing to the sport. You know, it's a short window, it's a short career. Tony Dixon, tough, game, fit, conditioned, experienced. I think he punches harder than his record suggests. But the reality is he shouldn't be causing Pat too many problems. Pat's well prepared. He's looking fantastic. And I do expect a top performance from Pat this Saturday.
You know, your fighters, when you've got that expectation of them and you put them in a step up, you're like saying, all right, then, you've got to up it now. Do they feel that pressure from you then to perform? Do you sense any like apprehension, like to say, flipping it, I've got to make sure I make a statement? Because you hear that so often from the promoters, statement, and then the fight happens and it's like, oh, you feel a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah, so I think sometimes what other people are looking for might not match what we are looking for. I think that, you know, I'm sure that being honest, I'm sure that Eddie would be over the moon if Pat went out, done 2 rounds, went crack, slip, bang, fight was over, brilliant, what an entertaining fight, looked to make $1 million. What I want to see is Pat doing the things that we've been working on through the training camp. Because if he went out and knocked the fella out in the first round but hadn't done any of what we was asking to do, that doesn't stand me in much confidence. I'm not confident for him to put him into a tougher fight when he needs to be doing the things that we're asking him to do. When I see him doing the things that we're asking him to do, I can then go, I can see that he can listen, he can follow instructions, he implemented what we asked him to do. I believe we can take another step. So that's why, of course, fantastic, all these first round knockouts that these prospects get, brilliant. But at the same time, I would much rather someone get some rounds in and actually execute the things that we've been working on in the gym. That's huge for me to have the confidence to send a fighter out in a fight. You know, that's what I'm looking for.
And you as a trainer, it's just, like I said, I know I ask a lot of personal questions about the business, but when you're choosing the team, which includes like the promotional team for your fighters, what is it that attracts you to a certain promotional team? What is it that makes you think that's the best platform for my fighters? Because you see different individual teams go to different promotional companies, yourself, part of Jamie Takivi's team, and he's like with Boxer fighting with them. So what is it that you make that choice to say, you know what, this is the platform for you?
I think you have to look at the length of the term that they're offering as well. So sometimes when a fighter's starting out, the term of that contract may be longer. For example, somebody at Shabaz's point, the term of that contract might be shorter, in which case you would look at what can they offer in that period of time. For example, Sky Sports, big platform. Someone starting off their career, they might look at that and go, that's a good platform to get you started on. Very different if you're not being on the live on the TV. That's a huge thing for you to take into consideration. You might look at, when you get to someone that you've had a few fights, you're sitting at around fringe world level, you might look at, what's my path to a world title? He's got him, that promoter's got him signed. There's a fight that can be made easy, there's a fight that can be made easy, that's my route to a world title. See, I think it massively depends on where you're at, what other fighters the promoter's got signed, platforms. How do you get on? Some people might not get on with Eddie, some people might not get on with Ben, some people might not get on with Frank Warren. So there's lots of things that you have to take into consideration. I think that, for example, I've got Royston Barney-Smith with Frank Warren. What a brilliant job that Frank Warren is doing with Royston Barney-Smith, giving him fantastic opportunities, fantastic slots on the card. Got a great relationship, and they really get on. We've also got fighters with Eddie Hearn and Frank Smith and the Matchroom Boxing team that got a great relationship with. So it massively depends on different situations, how long's the term, and there's lots of factors you have to take into consideration.
It's a bit like spinning plates, the job that you've got to do then, because it's dealing with different people who have different standards, different ways of doing stuff. Some may do things quickly, efficiently. Some you may have to like pull on the coattails and tell them to hurry up.
Yes, like some promoters, right, if you're talking about big fights, some promoters, you might learn to understand that, do you know what, he's expecting me to come in at this number.
All right.
He's going to come in at that number so that we can eventually meet in the middle. You learn that's what to expect. But everybody works in different ways. There's other promoters that might go, do you know what it is? I'm not going to stray too far from what I think the fight is worth. That's what I can do for it, and there's not much wriggle room.
Right.
You start to learn and develop relationships and different ways to do business, or the best ways to do business with different individuals, because everybody's different and does business in different ways.
I could ask you about Lee Wood, but I'm going to leave that because I know everyone's like talking about Lee Wood and Josh Warrington, where, when, and
Yeah,
if.
we haven't got any information. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow, so post-fight we should have some more information.
But finally, from yourself, your goals as a, you know, a boxing trainer, as a mentor, as a teacher to your fighters. What do you want to achieve when you look, like, say, back in like 10 years, 15 years? Because you can go on training forever. Let's face it, your career is longer than the fighters, Lord willing, and you have good health. What do you want to achieve?
So one of my biggest goals is I want to produce the pound-for-pound best boxer in the world. And I'm confident we'll be able to do that. Yeah, world champions is great, but to produce, it might mean that you work with less fighters, which means that you might produce less world champions. My goal is to, at some point, we have produced and have the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet.
And that is a really good note to end on. Ben Davidson, always a pleasure. All the best on the weekend and all the success for all of your fighters in your stable.
And to you and your channel.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.